So yeah, welcome to our state fair call. Obviously, if you're part of our regular team, glad you're all here too. But we have a packed call today. So first off, we're gonna bring up Katie Haney. Let me pull up your speaker bio first. Don't want to do this off the cuff. Okay, so Katie Haney. For those of you that don't know Katie, Katie is she's not part of our events team, but she sells at a lot of industry events and does a lot of CGC. I'm going to spotlight you for everybody. Yeah, welcome in, Katie. So for those of you that don't know Katie, Katie is at $6.7 million in career sales. Her best week is 48,000. Best day is 25,000. And proudest Cutco achievement is helping clients set up employee appreciation programs like the Builder program or like the co-op program. Education, she has a bachelor's of science in nutrition and diet can't even say that word. But
It's all good.
yeah, you're super smart because obviously science is tough. I was a communication major and like couldn't survive lab sciences, but I passed, so that's good. But yeah, so from St. Louis University, and then what else? Husband for Mike for 17 years, and then you have two kids, right? A Pitbull Powell.
Yeah, he's right here,
What is it? Does he like lay right next to you, like at your feet, like all day when you're working?
basically.
Yeah, I'm the chosen parent for our pup too. But some hobbies: ultimate frisbee, yoga, beekeeping. I didn't know that you have bees.
Yeah, it's a newer hobby. I have too many hobbies. I don't have time to sell Cutco.
Yeah, that's right. Good thing you're good at it, so you could sell a little bit and do all this other stuff, right? Gardening, cooking, reading, NBA podcast listening, and watching NBA games, especially the playoffs. So Katie's here to talk about business gift sales. Go ahead, take it away.
All right, thanks for having me. Good to see you guys all. I've got, how many tips do I have here? 9 or 10, and then Q&A. So I'm really excited to share this with you. I really enjoy the variety that business gifting brings, and you guys are at all these events, so you're all way better at selling at the booth than me, I think. If some of you have worked with me, you probably know that. But I am good at, qualifying for business gifts and the follow-up. My big thing is like the fortunes and the follow-up. So I like to sell at the booth, and I do sell at the booth, but the big thing is like I think the relationship begins when the event ends. So hopefully these tips help you, and make sure you get some questions at the end so I address everything you guys want. So first tip is remember why you're there. I have a business gift focus at the booth, and I know sometimes reps around me will like sell more than me residentially. But it's great to sell residential. I do it, sometimes I only sell residential, but it's like that my focus is find out who owns a business. And like that's my first thing. So I don't really go to the events trying to sell knives. I go to like help them set up business gift programs. Um, so everyone walking by is a potential customers. Business owners can buy 10 gifts, 25 gifts, 100 gifts, and reorder every year. And I'll tell some stories today of just people that I've met at the events I didn't sell to, but they're repeat customers. So the first one's just like your mindset. Are you there? Everyone owns a business. Everyone knows someone that owns a business. So, when they walk up, hey, what brings you to the fair? Have you ever heard of Cutco before? And that's kind of my next one is to qualify quickly. Leads into number 2. So first is mindset. Number 2 is qualify quickly. My favorite, I used to, my opening line, like for the booth sales used to be, hey, have you seen our gifts before? Have you seen our gifts before? But I learned from Eric Chandler a few years ago at a kitchen and bath builder event. We were all at dinner one night, and he was like, oh, I'm getting these huge orders. I'm getting these 100 spreader orders. And um, we were like, oh, what are you saying? He said, when they walk by, I say, hey, how you guys doing? Have you guys seen what we're doing for the blank industry? Have you seen what we're doing for the blank industry? A lot of these events, you guys know, they're wearing their name badge. You can see what they do. So-and-so plumbing company, so-and-so builder. So try to be quick, pay attention. When they walk by, do that. You guys heard the hat trick, Philip Tice, like compliment them on their hat, their necklace, their shoes. But while you're doing that, does their name badge say electrical? Does it say plumbing? Does it say Idaho Commerce? I don't know. Like people do all kinds of random S stuff. Hey, have you seen what we're doing for the Commerce Association? Have you seen what we're doing for the electrical industry? But if I'm at like a builder show or kitchen and bathroom modeler, it's, hey, have you seen what we're doing for the building industry? Have you seen what we're doing for the industry? You can just say, have you seen what we're doing for the industry? So that way it's not just we're selling Cutco. They see the Cutco sign. They know what Cutco is. Sometimes they even walk by because they're like, oh, I don't need Cutco. I use these other knives, whatever. But if you can kind of pull them in and say, have you seen what we're doing for the industry? Then you can do your pitch. So, hey, what do you guys do for work? So, my kind of like opening there when I say, hey, have you seen what we're doing for the industry? Oh, I thought you guys were Cutco. What? I was like, oh, we're service providers for the industry. They've asked us to be here to help companies set up. Now I'm like blanking on my 30-second pitch. I need to be at the booth. I'm going to imagine you guys. Okay. So what we do is we help you guys with your gifts. Most people give a gift to say thank you, basket, gift card, dinner out, bottle of wine. People like whatever you give them, but it's gone within a few weeks. What we do is to take Cutco, and I always have my favorite sample there, favorite logo, whatever. We brand it with your logo, name, and information. So it turns your gift into a long-term branding tool. What do you do for work? What do you guys do for gifts? Have you ever seen, are you familiar with Cutco? And then you just kind of the close is the question. So the more questions you ask, the more the relationship builds, the more you can just find out things and go from there. So that's kind of finding out what they do for work, qualify them quickly, because sometimes, Curtis knows this. Funny story from last year was I had people I knew at the booth and there was a line and I don't have time to talk to them. So they went and ordered from Curtis, which I love. But you got to qualify them because there might be someone else more qualified right behind them. And if you're wasting time with somebody that has a broken table knife, you might not get to them. So qualify them quickly. Do you ever thank clients, employees, or referral partners with gifts? Number 3 is don't sell Cutco. So do your pitch like I just did. Sell a problem that you solve. I just sent an email out just explaining why we're doing Christmas in July. And I've gotten this huge response because the first thing I did in the email, and I say this in person too, is I say, hey, so you own a business, do you ever get to Christmas or December 1st and you're like, oh crap, what am I going to get people this year? Oh, I got to figure this out. And every time they're like, oh my God, yes. And I say, that's why we do Christmas in July. Or if you're working an event in October, that's why we do Christmas in October. That's why we help people early, whatever. But I think the biggest problem we're solving is that people don't have to worry about it in December. Every business stresses about this. It's I always say to builders or businesses, I say, hey, I know gifting's 600th on your to-do list, but it is important. So our goal is just take something else off your list that's important, but you don't need to be spending your time on it. We're your gift providers, your gift solution. So example, closing gifts, employee recognition is so huge. I just got one today. Hey, 30th anniversary gift, Katie, get us something for this. This is who it is. That is huge. Employee recognition, because clients are great, but when you can get a good employee that sticks around, that you retain, that's really where the fortune of companies is that loyalty. They don't have to train a new employee. So companies have a lot of competition with people trying to take their employees. So if you can do it, Cutco's not the only thing that's going to make an employee stay at a company, but it's those little things that they think of them every single day. And it kind of is when they start looking for another company, they think, gosh, I don't know, I could make a little more money, but this company is so awesome. They take care of my family. They're flexible. So employee recognition is kind of huge. It's a little, what was tangent on that, but employee recognition, I'm very passionate about. Referral thank yous, holiday gifts, sales awards. And if you guys, I don't know what kind of shows you do, but there's this thing called safety awards. You guys probably know about this, but safety awards is huge. I need to promote this a little more, but I stumbled across this industry called traffic safety. And I just came from this lady Peggy's office where she has a traffic safety company and she's responsible for supplying the paint on the highways and the cones on construction sites and the I don't know, it's just crazy. Like when there's a snowstorm, any vehicle out there in Missouri or like 5 other states is hers. So she's got 60 employees, but it's also a big deal. There's safety awards. If you can like go an X amount of, I don't know the details, but if you can go X amount of time with like no injuries or your percentages of injuries is low, like you get all these awards, and they usually do gift cards, alcohol, whatever it is. What if they could give Cutco, pocket knives, hunting knives? And then retirement gifts. Nobody wakes up wanting engraved knives. They wake up needing better client gifts. Number 4, get out of retail mode. Would you like to buy this knife? It's about how many clients do you work with every year? Just learning more about their business. How many employees do you have? So just asking them those questions. And again, it's nice to close at the booth. You want to close at the booth, which I'll get into, but if if you're having good conversations with people, make sure you're getting their information, finding out more about their company so that when you follow up, you've got kind of that ammo to like close the deal afterwards. Number 5 is samples beat brochures. So again, always have your samples right there. I noticed one event, there was like 6 of us and we were all fighting over Kelly's, like she had a set with like, I don't know, it was Kelly or somebody else, but there was like a logo on the front and then the handcrafted exclusively for whatever on the back. We were all fighting over it. So like the first thing I did when I got back was ordered my own so that I can like promote. My favorite gift to promote is the like Cook's combo. So Santoku with Santoku trimmer with the logo on the front and then personalization on the back. That way, if they just want to do logo, you've got that right there. If they want to do just personalization, you have that. But if they want to do both, that's right there. And I think our dropship program is like personalization is everything. Just we take care of it for you. They can personalize it. I can talk to you guys more about dropship, but you guys know what it is. But make sure you have like your favorite sets right in front of you so that you're not like fighting over brochures or samples like we were. So hand them the knife, cut the leather. We have a lot of leather at our booth. Let them use the shears, show them the penny cut. Once they hold it, the conversation kind of changes. Like you guys have seen that before where you're at a show or like you meet with someone and you have a sample and it's got a logo on it, but then you get their logo on it and they just get it. Like I don't want to say people are stupid. People are like, they don't get what it is until they see it. So make sure they're holding it, they're using it, they're understanding it. Let's see. Okay, this is where I need to get my script on better, but I love the pilot program. This was taught to me a few years ago by, I think it was like Philip or something. He probably got it from one of you. Do you guys ever notice on the calls, you'll be like, oh, I learned this from Josh. And it's like somebody else is like, I taught that to Josh. That happens to me all the time, but I'll just take credit for everything. Number 6 is, well, I don't try to close the deal at the booth. I don't really agree with that. So I kind of had some help writing this, but your goal is to get their name, company, phone number, email, permission to follow up. I highly recommend like having your, thanks, Calvin. I highly recommend having like an iPad or, your computer. I sound like a boomer. Your iPad, your computer, but you could have like, your notebook there or just like whatever, but have a place to take notes. So that you can, it's good to have like your Excel sheet of leads there so you can type out your leads when you're talking to someone, but also you might have some downtime at the booth. I know I've had hours of downtime at booths and you can just kind of be calling your leads right there as a customer is like approaching. But offer, so when I'm talking to someone, I'm showing them the program, asking them questions. If they start, kind of showing buying signals, offer specials, try to close them on, hey, if they say they give out 100 gifts a year, of course, show them the volume specials, try to close them there. But sometimes, if you're starting at 100 gifts, that's like starting with the Cutco kitchen. After the Cutco kitchen, if they say no, you drop down. This is how little I know about residential. I'm like, I think you dropped to an ultimate. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, you offer like the big one. So the 100 gifts, let's say, try to sell that. But then, handle objections, drop down, feel free to drop down. But I will give you this tip. Again, you have to find your own way to do it. But I've had this happen so many times where I start with, let's say it's 100 gifts, and I can remember like 5 times it happened. I started with 100 gifts, and then that was like too much or whatever it was, and then we dropped down. And then I do the pilot program script, and they actually end up buying 100 gifts. So pilot program is where you basically let them know like you're working with them. It's a good client. It's a good prospect. They say no to maybe like the bigger orders. Then you drop down. So what I say is, hey, it sounds like you're interested in these gifts for these reasons. And you kind of say the reasons they just said. Maybe it's saving time at the holidays. Maybe it's having something that fits in their budget. Maybe it's something nice that they're going to use every day. Maybe it's something, a lot of times people are like, this is cool because a lot of times I'm giving gifts to my guys, like the men, the contractors, but like the woman doesn't like, it doesn't really like fit them, but this actually fits the whole family because like the woman's going to use it, the man. So sell them, list all the reasons they liked it and then say, do you mind if I tell you about our pilot program? Our pilot program is basically where at the show we do these amazing specials. Obviously, I've just told you like we do all kinds of specials. We do the best deals. You get a free piece of Cutco. There's every year. This is a line I got from Bert, I think, but a lot of times I'll say like this show, this NWFA, this wood flooring show, this is our Super Bowl. Like we come to this show, people come to this show just to buy Cutco from us because of the deals that we do. So you don't have to do this, but do you mind if I share with you our pilot program? Our pilot program is where you can take advantage of the specials we have at the show by starting with what you actually need. So I know you just said, you need 100 gifts, but just from talking to you, obviously you need at least 10, right? Because I know you said like the managers, the couple key employees, your wife, like you need at least 10. So what pilot program allows you to do is it allows you to just order at the show, get you what you know you need. Because another line I use is, I know you didn't come to the show with like your list of Christmas people you have to buy for, right? And they always laugh and I say, but you have that list, right? It's just going to take a little time to get it together. So what this allows you to do is just order what you actually need, get the specials for the show, and then in a couple weeks, we're going to have a Zoom call or a call and actually, hammer out the rest of them you need. And what's cool about that is you will get the show discount on that order. So let's be real. Like, how many do you know you need right now? And so sometimes they do say, oh, I only need 2. Oh, I need 10. But I bet it happened like 5 or 6 times where they're like, oh, what? Yeah. Okay. I mean, I know I need the 100. So like, what's the deal on that? And I think I don't know, I haven't done the research on it, but I think it's like psychologically you're giving them permission to get the order. Like you're acting like their assistant or their marketing manager, or their wife or their husband. So the pilot program is great. There's probably a better way to say it, but I just kind of on the fly, I'm like, hey, basically pilot program allows you to get what you need, lock in the specials. And then in a few weeks, we're actually going to, get you what you really need. And then follow up after that. Let's be real, guys. Most of the time, they don't buy on the spot from me. That happens like 10 to 20% of the time. But I can follow up with them. I have all that information. Number 7. I'd love to put together a few ideas with your logo on them. What's your best email? Get their contact information. Just get as much information as you need and take good notes. You guys know you leave these shows with like 20 leads, 50 leads, 100 leads. And then I've done this even like last week. I looked through, I'm like, who was that guy? Like, I don't remember. So try to take those notes of his wife had a blue shirt that we talked about her earrings, or like, the kid was like trying to touch the leather, just make those notes because you do need to remember those things. And it means a lot when they know you remember them. Number 8, follow-up is where the money is. That's the one thing you get from this talk is fortune in the follow-up. The booth starts a relationship, the follow-up gets the order. So my like kind of process is, and this is just mine, it's not right or wrong. It's probably wrong, but it's right for me. But after a show, I schedule a debrief time. So like, let's say my show ends on a Friday, my debrief time's like on Monday, maybe I schedule like an hour, 30 minutes, whatever it is. You got to debrief from your event. So ask yourself what went well, what didn't go well, what samples do I need? Maybe you need your personalized sample. And then part of that debrief is my leads. So let's say I kind of have a rule of 50 leads, let's say that. 10% of them I'm going to qualify as like top, and they're probably getting a sample, but 100% of the leads are getting an email follow-up. So the first follow-up is like that day or as soon as you can, or even at the show. You guys do like the text or email at the show to get them to come to the booth the next day to order. That's like the first thing is like selling to the leads at the show. But I'm talking about the debrief that you do after the show. Send an email follow-up. I usually have ChatGPT write that for me. Hey, I worked this show. This is what it was. These are the leads I got. What's a good follow-up email to send? I use ChatGPT a lot, or Claude, or whatever you want to use. But it's the email follow-up. And then it's qualifying those leads. Who were the best ones? Put stars by them, decide who you want to send a sample to. You guys know I send more samples than anyone, but I'm not going to apologize for it. But you need to send samples of some. So decide what your percentage is, what your budget is. If you get 50 leads, do you want to send a sample to 2% of them, 10%, 20%? Maybe it's, I'm definitely sending samples of these 3, but I would love to send samples of these 7, and you kind of put them down the list. Maybe in a month you send them a sample, whatever fits your budget. But the thank you email, figuring out who you're going to send samples to, the phone call, then sending the samples and following up, and then putting them in your database. So any lead I've ever gotten since probably 2020 is getting my monthly sale emails. So I get orders sometimes for people I haven't talked to since the show 10 years ago, but they've been getting my monthly emails, and now it's time for them to order. Yeah, okay, that's that. Okay, number 9 is think bigger. One homeowner buys one knife or one set, or Curtis is on the call, the family program. Love the family program. How many of you guys are doing the family program? The best thing I heard at Gem was like the family program talk, and everyone's like, you never do the family program? I love the family program. I think the family program and business gifts go hand in hand. Like we should be doing both with either and everybody. Okay. But think bigger. This was a lead I got from an industry event. Was like this guy, Chip, who'd worked in this trucking company for 30 years. He was like the service manager. I didn't sell him at the booth, but we had a great conversation. He was a star lead because he said, oh, our company has 49 franchises, but he wasn't the owner. So long story short, that was like 2025. So it was like less than 2 years ago. I followed up with him. I sent him a sample. He introduced me to the top 2 franchise owners. One of those guys, I've met with him a few times. He's ordered, I think he's up to like 60 grand. Just that franchise owner. The second guy hasn't ordered yet. I'm gonna get him. But there's 49 franchises. They were able to send an email out promoting my program franchise. So I don't even know how big that account is, but that was a lead that I did not sell at the booth, but I followed up, and it's just like this huge like web of people now. So think bigger. Those people are at the show, and that's kind of why I've made this mistake of like I was tired, I was hungry, like I was crabby, and I probably missed a great lead. Just try to do everything that you can to make sure you're rested, hydrated, fed with healthy fuel, healthy food, talking to your booth mates and like getting the energy up, because that Chip might walk up, and if you're not in peak state, he doesn't want to talk to you, right? So just make sure you do that. That's something I have to tell myself a lot too. But my biggest advice is, focus on business gifts. What you focus on expands. What you appreciate appreciates. So talk to who you want to talk to, appreciate who you want to appreciate. Find business owners, solve their problem, listen to them, and just make sure you get really, really good at follow-up. I think if we just all got like 10% better at follow-up, we'd be selling like 100% more. So one $10,000 corporate gift order could come from a 5-minute conversation at a fair. You never know who's walking by. Treat every conversation like it matters and just show up. That's all I got.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Katie. I noticed I forgot to give the keyword. So everybody, the keyword real quick, text this to me, is selling. So the keyword is selling. So make sure you text that to me. Keyword is selling. So that is your check-in for the call. Got a little late, but it is selling. So just make sure you text that to me. But yeah, some things that I got from you, Katie. The pilot program, the way that you scripted that out or explained it, and you're like, there could be a better way. I thought it was fire. Like the one thing that you say, like, oh, I know you didn't bring like your Christmas list of all the people that you need to buy for to the show. I think that's great. People are visual. I think that was the word you were looking for, but like when they see their logo on a knife, they're more, they get excited about it. Don't sell Cutco, sell a problem that you solve. And then the safety awards thing I thought was great. Yeah, appreciate it. We do have some time for some Q&A. So who's got questions for Katie? Quentin, why don't you go first?
All right, hey Katie. I'm curious what info you are collecting from your leads at the booth. And then just for the people that you are sending samples to, like, are these samples usually showing up to them as a surprise? Are you like getting their address on the front end and like planting the seed like they're going to be getting a sample? Like what does that expectation look like for them?
Oh, good question. Okay, I just pulled up my spreadsheet. I try to get, their name, phone number, email. That's pretty much it. Name, phone number, email, company name, and then any notes on there. I normally don't get to address because honestly, like if they own a business, you just Google them. It's just right there. And if I'm gonna send them a sample, I've lost way too many samples with the wrong addresses. So I'm usually emailing them, what's your address? So yeah, I would do that. So in terms of samples, it's usually a surprise, and you can do like the business gift program on Vector Connect. You can do a Santoku trimmer, you can do a Santoku, you can do a lockback. I'm a big believer in they buy whatever you sell them, or sorry, they buy whatever you sent them. So send everybody an ultimate. I'm just kidding. But I've noticed if I send someone a Santoku trimmer, they buy that. If I send them a Cook's combo, they buy that. If I send them a Santoku, they buy that. So I try to pony up for like as big as I can. And I try to, if it's a really good lead, I try to always send them a lockback too, because those are like, once they get that, they're like, oh, just add on 50 of those. Or like, yeah, we need 15 of those. It's like an easy add on. But in terms of like, yeah, I'm following up with a sample within, I don't know, it just depends, 2 weeks, a month. But it has like a handwritten note in it that just says like, great to meet you at KBIZ. Looking forward to carving out time to meet soon. And then it's always following up with an email, the package confirmation email, and a phone call. Like none of those people I'm sending samples to are getting a not giving me a yes or a no. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
And there's some reps that like make sure, like I know Julian's big on like he has a conversation with them and says, hey, I'm sending you a sample, but I'm only doing this if you're considering that. That's a great way to do it too. I should probably do more of that. But a lot of mine are just like surprises, but it's like I qualify them really well. Like it's someone that's gonna place an order.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Cassie, we'll go to you, and then will go to you after Cassie. Cassie, go for it.
Hi, Katie. So you mentioned you mentioned at the very beginning about asking like qualifying questions. Are they specific to qualifying for business gifts or just qualifying if like you're just trying to get them out there and like talk to the next person? And what are some of the top questions that are you can figure out the quickest if you want to talk to them?
Yeah, so qualifying customers, I just want to spend time with like the right people. So maybe it's someone who wants like someone that wants to buy a homemaker. I'm fine to spend time with them, but just find out. Um so maybe like what brings you to the show? Have you heard of Cutco before? So maybe it's like more like what brings them to the booth before I kind of go into, hey, do you own a business? Because maybe they did come up that like their daughter's getting married and they need a gift. That's still a good one to talk to, right? So yeah, qualifying questions. Have you heard of Cutco? What brings you to the show? Have you seen our gifts before? It's usually, have you seen our gifts before? Have you seen what we're doing for the industry? I really like that. And then just asking what they do for work. I just kind of, I don't know if I have any like other specific ones, but it's just getting to know them, building rapport, networking type stuff, complimenting something they have on, they're wearing, whatever.
Cool, thank you.
Bill, we'll go to you next.
Hey, Katie,
Hey.
thanks so much for that talk.
Yeah.
My
thanks for being
question
on.
would, yeah, this is awesome. So my question is more, the weakest part for me specifically, and probably with a lot of reps, because my strength is going to be when I'm in front of somebody. My weakest part is going to be on the back end with systems, organizing all that stuff. I really like your debrief planning session. My question would be, what do you have any like templates that you use just to kind of systematize communication? or what do you send to somebody who's interested in something? Do you have something that you send them to kind of give them more of an idea when people say, yeah, send me what you got?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you have there?
I mean, I really like using the volume pricing guide. Like, I don't know, I'm big on sending that to people and just so the sending, I mean, I could send you the stuff, the email I send people after the event, but it also depends on like what they respond with. Who do I need to talk to? I mean, everybody's a little bit different. So it's like they might say, hey, send me pricing. I'll send them the pricing guide and then follow up with a phone call, follow up with an email, talk to the right person. Or it might be someone that's like, hey, I need gifts for this. What are 3 options for that? And then I have to kind of like compose it for that. So I mean, I have a lot of follow-up scripts, but it's also kind of um, it's individual to everybody. I use Vast Action a lot. Like I have my Excel sheet with the leads afterwards, but then everybody goes into Vast Action and they're like ranked priorities. So like every day I have like my top priorities that I call, and that's based on who needs gifts right then or who is the most promising. So I don't know if to answer your question. You got to figure out the right system for you, but I have like follow-up emails I can send you, but it's also dependent on what they need and who you need to talk to.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. We're gonna go to Kevin Marr next.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Katie. Yeah, that was great. I have a question on, as far as like after you email everybody, how soon do you call them to see if they got the email or just kind of like, try to
I'd say within a
promote
week.
the next steps?
I try to call like a week later, give them a little time to answer the email, but then, yeah, I'd say a week or two. As soon as you can, like every day that goes by, those leads get a little bit colder. So the quicker you can, I mean, it depends how busy you are too. Maybe you have 5 other events that week. You might not get to them for a little while, but the sooner the better.
Okay. And then
Get a yes or no.
other quick question. I've been told like to not send them the price lists because they have like
Yeah.
everything that they don't need you anymore. But I know I've sent the price list to plenty of people and they've reached out, 3 or 4 months later and just said, I'll take 20 or 30 of these. So I guess I'm just curious if it's like a case by case basis, or do you send it to most people, or do you not send it to most people?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, there's no right or wrong, but for me, I'm a shopper. I like to know the price of something. Like, what the hell? I'm not gonna buy a shirt if you're like, well, I have to, I know we're consultative, but you already told them what it is. It's nice for gifts. It's their logo on it. If they want pricing, they should get pricing. So yeah, I send them
Mhm.
pricing, but I try to also in the email, like when I send them pricing, it's like, hey, would love to set up a call to learn more about your business, and then ask them a little more questions. Are you going to be using these for client gifts, employee gifts? Like send them the pricing, but then like ask more questions and follow up. But no, I don't gatekeep pricing at all.
Okay. Sorry, this is another quick question, but I feel like it's good for everybody. But call to action, like on the email, I guess I know it's different on, a lot of people, but are you kind of just like asking for the next meeting, or just like, hey, I'd love to, um, carve out some time in a couple weeks, or for us to further the conversation? It's like, what is that question that you're asking them that they need to answer, as far as like a call to action on the email?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm gonna look at an email I sent because I can't remember. Uh, hold on a second. Here it is. This is a guy I need to follow up, but I wanted him to like, yeah. Um, I guess it's like create expectations. So maybe it's looking forward to carving out time soon. I'll follow up in a week if I haven't heard from you, or would love to set up a call. You could offer 2 times, but usually they don't follow up. So I kind of just let them know I'll be following up, so that's not like annoying.
Okay.
But you can also do, I mean, there was one event I did where I wanted everyone to like set up appointments. So I did like one of those like calendar links and a few people scheduled, but usually you have to follow up with people. Does that answer your question? I don't know if I answered you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it sounds like, well, I mean, from my perspective, most people don't respond to emails. Like, you'd be lucky if they did. But it's just kind of like showing your due diligence, at least asking for, something, or letting them know the expectations. Like, here's the next steps that needs to happen.
Oh, I'm probably out of time, but something that you just made me think of. What's really important about sending a quick and very professional email follow-up is tons of times the owner that you met or the manager forwards it to like the person actually in charge of guests. They CC them and you're on it. And they wouldn't have done that if they didn't have something to send. And like I think that's the biggest like gatekeeping, like the thing that prevents the order is like you're caught up in with the owner who has no, like they don't do the gifting. So if you can like do a good pitch and they just offload you to the person in charge of the credit card, that's what you want. You want the Kelly, the Lacey, sorry, it's usually like the Ben, whatever. So if you can send a really quick professional email after the event with the information that they need, a lot of times you just get funneled off to the person that can actually make the decision, and then they have the go ahead from the owner.
Perfect.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Kev. That is all we have time for questions. Sorry for the few that we didn't make it to. But you can always text me. If you don't have Katie's number, you can text me and I can always get those questions to Katie and we can get those answered later. But hey, Katie, really appreciate all the goods here. We really appreciate it. And I know everyone is excited to sell more biz gifts during State Fair. So appreciate
And
your time.
I'm going to send you an email right now of like a sample of my follow-up email from an event. And if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie.
Thanks.
Next, we've got Jake. So for those of you that don't know Jake, Jake is actually our top rep on the events team for this year to date. So he is over 100K in event sales. He lives out in Idaho, but for those of you that don't know Jake yet, Jake, your nickname is Primer, is that right?
Yeah, Primer.
Where did that come from?
So when I first started in strength conditioning in 2001, I would do a ton of different warm-up drills that we called priming the system, right? Warming up the body. And so my boss that I worked with at Ole Miss, he just always started calling me Primer. So he called me Big Primer because I weighed about 260 then. But,
Oh, okay, cool.
yeah, so it just stuck.
That's great. Yeah, I had no idea about that. But yeah, so for those of you that don't know Jake though too, or Primer is a nickname. I wonder if that's going to catch here too. But yeah, career sales $1.2 million. Best week 26K, best day 14K. Proudest Cutco achievement. He won the Silver Cup in 2022 in his category, and then he won the luxury watch in 2025. Education, Master of Science, another science guy. Katie was a science major as well, but physical education. For family, his wife Courtney, and he's got two daughters, Kyra and Maya. And fun fact, he was a collegiate strength and conditioning coach for 21 years in 4 different conferences. Was that all D1 too?
Yeah, all D1.
All D1, that's awesome. And then some hobbies: hunting, fishing, backpacking, snowboarding, and weight training. But Jake is here to talk about selling sets. So Jake, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to talk. Obviously, there's a lot of people on this call that have sold a lot more Cutco than me and more sets than me. So I was trying to think of some things maybe that I'm doing that has helped me. Some of it I'm sure you've heard, maybe some of it you haven't. Big thing, your energy transfer, number one. Your excitement and your energy will transfer to your customers. So I think we all know that, but when you're 8, 9, 10 hours into a day, that can be hard hour 10 as it is hour 1. So, we always say time and CPO are not related. We've all had those orders where it's like the last half hour of a day, you've only sold, 1 knife all day, and then you drop an ultimate. So, and I always try to remind myself, I think Dawood said this, some will, some won't, who cares who's next? I literally tell myself that at times at the booth, and try to keep my energy up throughout the day. Obviously, doing that is, taking care of yourself, eating good foods and stuff, keeping it up that way. But just mentally, it's a mental game. Sales is in general, it's a roller coaster at times. So you just got to be mentally tough and keep bringing it throughout your whole shift. Part of the reason I feel like I can do that is I disconnect from the order. And I know that's hard to do too, but I truly don't care if someone buys a knife or a set. I completely disconnect from the order. I try to have fun with customers. I try to lighten the mood. Know your script. I know scripts, steal from Caden, steal from Curtis, steal from, all you reps. Know your script, but personalize it, make it fun, have fun, humanize the experience. Don't just be pitchy and rush through a script at the booth. Talk to people, build rapport. We always say it in demos, in home, or whenever it is, but truly do that. Maybe you're asking about what they're wearing, what hat they have, if they have kids, whatever. Just build a little bit of rapport. It doesn't have to be forever, but um, that always helps. But disconnecting from the sale. And I think that's helped me a lot. I mean, I truly appreciate every order, even if it's a table knife, I appreciate it because I know that, doing that might turn into a set or a sale down the road. Usually it does because everyone has friends and or family. So getting Cutco in their hands, getting them in your system, marketing to them will turn into future CPO. And I always say that, tell people, my job is just to get you, tools you'll use and enjoy every single day with your family, cooking food, being healthy in your home. So disconnecting is huge. I cut a lot multiple times throughout a pitch. I cut with Santoku trimmers. I cut with cheese knives. I cut with a 72-year-old Cutco knife that I had refurbished. I tell them about that. And I don't do that right away. Usually, once I gauge interest as we're talking about sets, maybe it's when I'm going over homemaker pieces. I pull out a trimmer that's from 1954 and I tell them, look, I did service call, went to a lady's home in Lewiston after the fair. She bought a state at an estate sale. She gave me 5 to keep, sent it in, had it sharpened. And that trimmer knife cuts through leather 2, 3, 4 times thick. And when they do that, I think it just re-emphasizes like it's a one and done product. So I cut Roma tomatoes, I cut potatoes, I cut grapes. I cut with a salmon knife at times, and that's not me cutting, that's usually them. Sometimes I will, like if I'm demoing maybe a chopper, I cut with the Petite Santoku. I'll cut leather, sometimes not right away. Sometimes it's when I'm talking about the table or steak knives. If the husband hasn't cut, I'll put the knife right in his hands and say, hey, grab this, turn it upside down. And like almost just like you're gonna cut. So multiple times throughout the script, I'll cut with the shears, usually when I'm talking about the 6 set pieces or maybe adding on. Um, if I notice they're left-handed when they're cutting the tomato, I'll say, oh, you're a lefty. I got something to show you later, And so then I'll have them cut with the shears left-handed on my business card. So cutting multiple times. I don't always use a junk knife anymore. I used to do it a ton. Sometimes I will now. But I'm usually just cutting with Cutco knives, old Cutco knives, super shears, food, leather, all sorts of stuff. I just feel like, it can make a mess. And so I did it a few years ago and you're cleaning things up, but at the same time, I've also had people that they cut with the tomato. This old lady a couple weeks ago in Island Park, and she's like, I gotta have that cheese knife right when she cut. And I tried to upsell, she didn't, but she got a cheese knife. I'm like, hey, all right, it was worth it, right? So, and that's again disconnecting from the order. Like it didn't get her a set, but it might be a set in the future, might be pieces in the future for her friends and family. Ask great questions. We all hear this. Ask great questions in the beginning, ask great questions throughout. So, oh, what do you have at home? Okay, where'd you get those knives? How old are they? You always find if they can't name the brand, they probably don't have a good product. Because if you've invested in a good product, you know the brand, whether it's hunting gear, whether it's a car, whether it's knives, you know the brand. Because you paid for it, you enjoy it, and you use it every day. Um, you know, Reiterate their pain points. Oh, you have Crapco? Oh, okay, because some people have said that. Like, okay, so what, what don't you like about them? Oh, they don't stay sharp. They're rusted out. They're flimsy. Oh, when'd you get them? I don't know. We got them from a wedding like 30 years ago. And reiterate those pain points, right? You're just loading your clip so later you can bring those pain points back up, things that they have told you. So ask good questions. Part of asking good questions too is in closing. So I've had times where, kind of jumping ahead here, but you do a stall close. We've all heard it, we've all done it. But sometimes in a stall close, it's like, I'll be like, oh yeah, let me think about it. And I'll literally just say, okay, well, like, yeah, I'll write it down for you. I said, but let me just ask you this. Like, I mean, would you use all these pieces? And sometimes they'll just simply say, nah, I wouldn't use a bread knife or those forks. And so say, okay, and then go from there. You can customize from there. You can drop down, or you can, discount if you need to. I'll just buy those forks for you. I'll knock this price out. But then also those questions, sometimes I've been looking at, a homemaker with a customer. I'm like, well, let me just ask you this. Is a block ideal for you guys? And they might say, no, we use a magnet. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you don't need a block then. There's no reason to pay for wood. Let's just get you the knives. I said, then you're not limited also on the slots and the depth. You can choose whatever you want. And then that's turned into $1,000, $1,400 orders just because they just didn't need a block, and they're just kind of held up on that. Oh, we have to buy a block. So asking good questions in the close too. Asking good questions with that close, like the table and the steak knives. Which size do you guys like? And then a lot of times right there, if they're looking at a homemaker set and they're like, you show them the table knife, and I say, yeah, it's Cutco's original steak knife. And I'll just put it right in their hands. And if they haven't cut yet, maybe it's the husband, I'll put it right in their hands, grab the leather and say, yeah, these are small but mighty. And they'll cut through 3 layers thick of leather and be like, dang, okay, those are sweet. Yeah, that's probably all we need. It might help you just sell that homemaker. Payment plan. Obviously, the payment plan that is close to a ton of sets. I think we all do it. I'll put the number right in front of them. If I am discounting, I'm doing a close and I'm discounting a set, I'll calculate tax, free shipping right there, and I'll show them the number. It's just, 311 today, and it's in their face so they can see it. Because, hearing it and seeing it, you need to do both, I believe, to really get the point across. So when they see that number and say, is that something you feel like you can budget for a few months, without breaking the bank? And then I'm like, yeah. And then also sometimes like, nah, it's a little much. So sometimes I'll just ask, okay, what would you feel comfortable with? And like, yeah, we'd feel comfortable about $150 a month. And then I'll work up a deal and say, this is what I could get you for that. This outfits you well. And then also emphasizing, when you are closing and doing deals like, hey, you're never punished for starting small with Cutco. A ton of our customers start small. When you're ready for a block, we just get you the block, fill in the pieces, and I'll cut you a deal when we do that. So I think just asking questions initially, bringing up pain points throughout, and then asking questions again on the close, because sometimes it might be just one little thing that's holding them back from buying today, and you can fix that problem if you just ask the right question. I customize sets a lot. One thing I'll do is if I'm showing a homemaker or a SIG and they're looking at it, or an ultimate, ultimate you don't really need to customize, but kind of the smaller sets. And, I'll be looking at it and I'll say, these feel like the right pieces you guys would touch and use every day, have forever, really enjoy. And they're like, we just don't do bread. And I don't think I'd use that spreader knife. And, I got forks. And so I'll say, what's cool, one thing we can do is you can switch any of these knives out today for the exact same price. And so, yeah, maybe you don't get full CPO on a homemaker. Maybe you lose 200-300 CPO, but you get a sale. And we all like money, and we're all there to make money and make sales. So they might be like, yeah, let's do the boning knife instead of the bread knife, and let's do the cheese knife instead of the spreader. And we like that 4-inch paring knife. And I'll just swap those out. A lot of times I haven't even talked about the cutting board or the sharpener yet, so they don't even know that's included with the homemaker. So I don't need to bonus those when I customize. And then a lot of times too, I'll do that. I lose a little CPO, and then I upsell when they actually say yes, and I get the credit card and I gain some CPO back. So it's kind of just a game that way. Like, oh, do you want the shears? And I'll show them, hey, if you break it up, it's only this much more on the 5-pin. Like, yeah, let's just do it. So sometimes I'll lose CPO by customize, but then I just try to gain it back. But I also know if they get Cutco, They might sell, refer me to their friends, family, service them later. It's going to be future CPO2 because they have it in their home. Everyone loves it, right? So I'm not afraid to discount. I'm not afraid to customize. And I think getting on customer side is always great. So let's say they're looking at the SIG and it's just a little too much money. And they're like, it's just us at home. We don't really need that big a set. And so, you drop down to the homemaker galley, say, oh yeah, that's probably just too many for you guys. Totally get it. This galley set would outfit you great. And then get on their side and sell them on that galley. And, if you need to throw in a cheese knife or shears with it, I'll do it. So big thing, I customize. I love CPO. I don't care when and where it comes from. Sometimes I'll discount sets. Like if it's a short event, I do a lot of 1 day short events, farmers markets, small community days. We're not in a huge area, it's very rural. So I'll do a lot of small events, and sometimes I'll do rock bottom pricing. I was in Orfino, it's up the river. It's a town of like 800 people. I did a farmer's market for 3 hours and had a customer walk up. It was like the last hour. And I said, sold them on Cutco. They're into it. I could tell they were qualified. I said, what's cool? This set, I got $500 off this ultimate set with steaks right now. And they're like, really? It's on sale? They're like, let's just do it. And then their friend walked up. He's like, he's got a sale on it. And they're like, hey, if we do two, can we get a better deal? I say, you do two at this price right now, I'll knock another $100 off for both you guys, and sold 2 sets. So like, I always look, if I have a short amount of time, I am really not afraid to discount. I want to make money. I want every show, every event to be worth it. So I'm not afraid to do that. And I know it'll be future CPO from those people or their friends and family as well. One thing, Chris Voss, who's master hostage negotiator. Can't remember the name of his book, but he has a lot of talks. The Power of No. And I try to do it more and more. Try to frame questions where the customer actually says no. So, for example, would you be opposed to just knocking this out today? And they say no, right? So, like when someone says no, their guard is down. Like they're not committing to anything yet, but they're also giving you permission to maybe give them a deal, right? So, like trying to frame things where they actually say no, but it is getting you further along in the sales process. And then mirroring and labeling. So mirroring is, I think Vernon talked about it at Net one year. It's like mirroring their body language, their tone. Like if it's an older lady coming up, I'm not gonna just jump up and just like go 100 miles an hour. So mirror their body language, mirror their tone. And labeling is a good cue to get people to open up without even asking a question. So like, maybe you're building rapport in the beginning and they're like, say something about their family, or, they have 4 kids, and say, oh, sounds like you really enjoy spending time with your family. So you're just labeling what they're telling you, but then it gets them to open up. Oh yeah, we have 3 kids and 6 grandkids and they come over a lot. Oh, it sounds like, you spend a lot of time in the kitchen. So you're just labeling what they're doing, but it gets them to open up and give you more ammo down the road to use when you're selling. Oh, and then a sheet I use. So hope you guys can see this. So kind of just made this. It's kind of from our original demo. It's like 6 things you don't know about Cutco. It says cooking utensil company, all-inclusive American-made kitchen company. But like I have this out on my booth because I'm a firm believer in just hearing it sometimes from a salesperson, right? You're at the booth, you're selling. Sometimes hearing it and seeing it is a big difference. So number one, it just says USA made for the long haul, American made 77 years, 1949, only in New York. Number two, 200 million plus in sales, 17 million customers. Number three, it says not sold in stores as seen on TV. So, and then, this kind of keeps me in line if I'm introducing Cutco. If they're like, hey, let me hear about it. It's there, they're seeing it. I'm also saying it at the same time. So it's like, hey, we're not in the stores, but we are Consumer Digest Best Buy. There's no middleman markup. That's why we do these shows. That's why we're here. Has Modern Marvels, World's Sharpest Episode, Discovery Channel, Dr. Phil Made in America. So it shows that, and that kind of people like, oh, Rachel Ray endorses one, like all that stuff hits. The Forever Guaranteed, I'll flip it over. go over the forever guarantee and the double D edge, right? Buy once, use every day, never have to replace. And I'll hit them with, Cutco's not cheap, right? But the reason people love buying Cutco is you do it once. And I try to relate it to, especially when they see a price and they're like, damn, for knives, like that much? Because if they've never priced it, there's a little sticker shock. So say, yeah, it's like buying a refrigerator, an oven, or a stove, except you do it once, you don't replace it every 7 to 10 years. And then you can pass it down to your kids. That's when I'll be like, hey, do you guys have kids? Yeah, we have 3. They're grown, right? But then also, they have 3 kids. So family program down the road, hey, is this the only set you need? Because family program gets you better deals. So you're building the ammo at the same time. Number 5, it says high quality, low maintenance, and that's where I'll hit on the double D edge, have them cut some more, talk about the Thomas Lamb handle, the wedge lock designed by a doctor, the blades, the heat treating, and then just talk about our customer service, local factory, it's unmatched customer service. And then the giving back, all the organizations and Alzheimer's Front Row and all that stuff. So I think having that sheet out's helped. You never know for sure, right? You'd have to go back in time and do it without to really know. But I think seeing it and feeling the knives, cutting, building that rapport, asking right questions, building your ammo for later in the demo that you can use. And my wife told me this, like I told her I was doing a talk, and she's like, you can talk about how you'll give good deals. And I was like, yeah, I said, I will. I said, I know some reps. I mean, we all love selling full price. But I'll take 1,800 on a Siggy as opposed to no sale or somebody walking around with a quote slip. I'm hardly ever giving out quote slips anymore. I try to get a yes or no at the booth right there. I do get B-backs. Had a couple at the Cherry Festival. 2 people came back in one day and bought sets. I never tell someone, look, please come back and tell me if you're going to do it or not. I don't think they owe me anything. If you leave them in a good attitude, having fun, not stressed, I feel like a lot of times they will just come back and buy or at least tell you yes or no, right? They don't feel pressured. Other than that, that's kind of my main points. I went through them pretty quick, but yeah, if anybody has questions.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Jake. The one, I really liked your questions. That was one thing I definitely wrote down. Like, would you use all these pieces? Is a block ideal? Because sometimes it's just a small thing that is the reason why they're just like, oh, I'm not buying because of the block, right? And it's like, oh, well, you can get all the knives and just hang them on a magnet strip, just asking those small questions to figure out what the big objection is. Don't be afraid to customize. Customizing works. Don't have to do it all the time, obviously, but it's like, hey, if it's gonna create a sale rather than a no sale, do it. And then, yeah, that's basically wrote down a lot more, but those are the main ones. Any questions for Jake? Kevin, go for it.
I just have three or four quick questions. No, I'm just kidding. I won't take up all the time this time. When you say you're not afraid to like discount stuff, how do you figure out, whether someone's like, I guess, motivated by price or free stuff, or when do you kind of like make that determination of like, when do I give a couple hundred, $200, $300, $400 off versus keep tacking on free stuff?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you make more money by doing a bunch of free stuff than, doing some table knives or steak knives for free. Sometimes, like I said, if it's short events and I have 4 hours or 6 hours to sell and make money, like sometimes right away I'll just be like, look, I got this set, like this is our package price through Cutco, but today right now it's $400 off, and I'll just do it right off the bat. I mean, I'm not scared to do that if it's going to be a sale and I got 3 hours and there's hardly anybody there. Now, if they buy right then I'm like, dang, maybe I should have sold that full price. But I'll take the sale. I mean, I'll take the CPO, I'll take the money, and then again, also they have friends, they have family, so I know it'll be future CPO too in the future. I would much rather, add things on. Like if I know they're looking at a hunting knife or fishing knife and say, hey, you know what, I'll buy that for you today if you guys want to knock this out now. But it's mainly in the short events. If I don't have much time and it's not very busy, I'm not afraid to just do some crazy good deals right there.
Okay.
Tuck, I see you're off the mute. Did you have a question?
I didn't know I was off mute. No, sorry.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I just figured I'd ask. Caden, we'll go to you next.
All right. When you say you're unattached, totally get that. That's been super helpful. When people ask, can I just buy pieces? Is your go-to to close pieces, get a credit card upsell, or are you trying to sell them on a set? And if it's not working, then you go to pieces.
Yeah, I always try to go to the set, and say, yeah, I mean, you can buy individuals, you can pretty much pay full price, so most people take advantage of, our package discounts and our better deals. But if it's just out of the budget, then yeah, obviously I'll try to drop to a 5 piece or a showstopper, but if it ends up being a piece, said I'm happy that I've had people buy a cheese knife and the next year buy a set. So I know if I get them a piece, right? Like, and tons of reps have talked about get them one piece of Cutco. So, but also if you're disconnected, like you're having more fun, right? If you're stressed at the booth, if your energy's different, customers feel that. So if you can just disconnect, and it's hard to do, right? But if you can, you're gonna have more fun. But then also get them to laugh in the script too. Like, one thing I'll tell people, I think, I'm sure a lot of reps do it, but if they're like, if I'm talking about it and they're thinking about it and we're doing a little stall close, be like, hey, and the other thing is, you know what you get me? I do your dishes, I get your groceries, and they laugh and say, no, but when you have service in the future, I'll take care of you, I'll be your guy, you have someone personally to reach out to. So having fun with it is huge with that disconnect too.
My quick follow-up question, what are some things that you do to prep your mindset either before the event or during the event when you're kind of struggling with disconnecting or it feels like you're in a rut and you're just not quite firing on all cylinders, or you are a little more emotionally attached than you'd want to be?
One thing I definitely tell myself is like, if you have somebody walk and hey, you have a card and they walk and you felt like it was good, I literally tell myself, some will, some won't, who cares who's next? Like I literally mentally, or sometimes I'll say it out loud. Um, yeah, I mean, other than that, like I'll listen to some talks for events, sometimes music. I always work out in the mornings. Like I think running or lifting like keeps your energy up, like doing something good for yourself. So, and then eating good foods. Like, I mean, kind of all that plays a part, but yeah, we've all had those days where it's like, no one is buying from me today. Everyone is saying no. But the next day, it might be a 5K day, right? So, like, and I always know that, and we always say it, and we see it on the group me, like, time and CPO aren't related. We've all experienced that. So I try to remind myself that. Paul Bunyan days last year, it was 100 degrees for 4 days. 22 hours in the booth, I hadn't had a sale, and then I dropped an ultimate. And it's like, I mean, those happen. So I try to remind myself that that can happen at any moment.
Awesome. Any other questions? The one thing I did want to point out too, like obviously the disconnecting from the sale, like it is a really, really hard thing to learn. It's actually kind of crazy, Jake, that you've learned it so quick. Because for those of you that don't know, Jake just started working events in 2022. So he's only been on the events team for like 3.5, 4 years, 4.5 years. Whatever that math is hard. But anyway, he's been on the team for 3, 4 years. And it took me like a decade to learn that, right? It's like, oh shoot, somebody walked, and then you're all like in your feelings because maybe that should have been a sale, but it wasn't. And then even like the show I worked this last weekend, Thursday, Friday, were both $400 days for me personally, and then sold 10K total between Saturday and Sunday. So you never know when those orders are going to come. But just staying disconnected and just, staying, confident that everything's going to work out. That's the name of the game, especially if you want to sell at a high level. Any other questions for Jake? Anything?
I got one.
Yeah, Josh, go for it.
Yeah, you talked about labeling and I just really liked what you were saying there. So is there anything else that you do to label the customer that you feel helps you close sets or helps you just get more orders? I know you mentioned a couple things on it, but just anything else to expand on that?
Yeah, I try to do it more. Sometimes I forget to do it. But it really works. And like Chris, I think it's Chris Voss. If you look Chris Voss up, he has a lot of YouTube stuff. He's a huge hostage negotiator. But yeah, I mean, like if you hear something they say and it, like if you're like, oh, I have yeah, it's just me and my husband and you got, 2 grown kids. And it's like, well, it sounds like I don't know. I'm trying to have trouble coming up with an example right now, but if you hear something they say, you just basically reiterate it back to them, and it gets them to say more about that, right? It's yeah, I'm drawing a blank right now. I'd have to have an example, but look up Chris Voss. He has a book out too, but you can find a lot just on YouTube or a masterclass app. He does a lot of talks on that and he has tons of examples talking about mirroring and labeling.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, sorry, that wasn't much more help there.
Just even encouraging the research.
Yeah.
Awesome. We got time for one more question if anyone's got one. Any other questions? Anything at all?
I mean, I'll ask another question if no one is.
Go for it, Josh.
Yeah, I know this is a state fair prep call, but you talked about a lot of smaller events that you work. And I was just curious if there's anything that you look for when you're saying yes or no to some of those events that you're researching and working, or if you're just like, hey, it's a small farmers market, I'm going to work that, and you just kind of say yes to all of them, or was,
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a state fair call, which is big events, but say we're not in a big area here. Like my town's 1,000 people, like our biggest town's closer 20,000. So tons of small little towns. Um, I'll ask questions like who's promoting, like, hey, how many vendors do you have? Because if there's a lot of vendors, like a lot of times you just sell the vendors. I'm fine with that. I don't care who buys, right? So, like I'm signing up for one this week. It's a farmer's market I heard about yesterday. They have 106 vendors. And it's like, it's not in a huge place, but if there's a lot of vendors, then their friends and family are coming. Then I also ask the question, like, how many people do you usually get? And like this one, they're like, we get about 5,000 people through. And then you got 106 vendors, like, heck yeah, I'll do that. How much is it? $100 for sure. I also find like a lot of the smaller events are some of my most profitable. Booth fees $15. I have $10 in gas and you sell a couple grand, make $1,000. Like that's a good day. So now is it setting up your whole booth and breaking down your whole booth? Yeah, it's some time, but if I can make $1,000, it's a good day. I'm good with that. So asking questions, how many vendors? I always ask that. Or if you're looking at pictures of the setup and you see there's 50 vendors, it's like, yeah, there's probably quite a few people coming through. Um, price, I'm not, most of these small events are real cheap. So it's anywhere from $15 to like $125. So very minimal. You sell a couple knives, you made your money back. So I kind of always view it that way too. Just want every event to be as profitable as possible. So yeah, hopefully those are things you took away, but vendors for sure. There's a lot of vendors I'm usually trying to get in. Sometimes too, it's just a small town like, Orfino, I've been through a few times. It's on the Clearwater River. It's a really small town, but there's a lot of businesses there just because they're so remote. So I kind of look at that like, not a ton of business like a big city, but enough that like any of those business owners come through, or there's a lot of hunters up there. They're remote, so a lot of people are cooking their own food. So I kind of look at all that stuff too.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny when Jake says small. When Christine and I, when we put the calendar together, we're always going through these events that he works, and he's like, yeah, they don't really know the dates until like the month before or the couple weeks before. It's like super small, like they are really small. So it's just a good thing to remember, like when you are working some of these new events or deciding if you're going to work, like just try it out. Especially if it's cheap, like it's worth a shot. If it's a county fair, definitely worth a shot, right? So don't be afraid to sign up for some of these new events, even if they are smaller. So awesome. That is all we have time for Jake. But hey, really appreciate all the goods, man. This has been great. Keep crushing it, and excited to see where you finish the rest of the year, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. So we'll go ahead and bring our next speaker up. So we got Calvin, who is on the State Fair team. So for those of you that don't know Calvin's at $4.2 million. He thinks best week is 52K. Best day is 32K. That's not at the booth. Was that like a biz order or something, or 2 biz orders? Okay, sweet. Well, that's exciting. Do you know what your best day is at the booth?
Yeah, $18,967.
Almost that 20K day. Maybe this is the fair, right? And then proudest Cutco achievement, beating Curtis at State Fair, Texas for the past 5 years. Is that true?
Yeah.
Curtis is like, yeah, it's fine. I work less days. And then fun fact, he has a wife and he likes to golf. So Calvin is here to speak about selling lots of cookware. Calvin, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. It bothers Curtis, even though he says it doesn't. No, cookware, there's like a lot of things in our business that we would consider needle movers in the business. And like, I know everybody is like all about business gifts, and they should be, because that is a huge needle mover in our business. But the reality is, like, if we're playing the odds and we're playing the numbers, like more customers can buy cookware than we're going to run into business owners. So like, you should be able to know every part of what you're selling, and you should be able to maximize it if you're trying to grow your numbers and you're trying to grow your sales at any event. So when it comes to the pots and pans, like what I've learned over the past few years, especially like where I've definitely sold drastically more cookware than I have in the many years prior, it shouldn't be scary to pitch it, and it shouldn't be overcomplicated. I think for a long time, we heard a lot of pitches from a lot of great people who were selling a lot of pans, but they were doing these really long pitches that were anywhere from, 20 to 30 or 40 minutes long just to try to sell a set of pans. And especially at the fairs where these are considered high traffic events, like the reality is we just don't have that much time to spend with a customer if we're trying to maximize a day. I definitely don't want to I'm not saying I'm not willing to spend that time with the customer if the CPO is there, but like the reality is if I can condense that down into a 5 to 10 minute pitch, and still get the exact same result, I'm definitely going to go with the shorter pitch that's getting me the same numbers or better numbers. But you got to think about it like this, like when people get confused because we overcomplicate the pitch, they don't want to buy things because they don't really understand, or there's a lack of belief, or they don't really think what you're saying is going to happen. So the other thing you want to understand is like the past couple of years have been the stainless steel craze. Like shout out to TikTok and Instagram and everything else, because all of these people are just really putting it out there that like stainless steel pans are the way to go. Like I can't tell you how many times I've sold a set of cookware because they were like, "Oh, I saw the stainless steel guy on TikTok and he made it look so easy." So like maximize what's already in people's minds and in their heads. One of the biggest shifts that I've had with the cookware though is 100% confidence. Like I wholeheartedly believe that we make the best pans out there. It's the best bang for the buck. We're the only forever guaranteed product. And I use our pans at home enough that I'm not worried about being confused whenever a customer has an issue. Like I know it's something that I can overcome because I've already overcome it myself. So like if you're not using the pans at all, like I know everybody says it, but just give them a shot. Get yourself a fry pan. That's really all you need to know. Like if you can make eggs on a fry pan, you can basically do anything with our cookware. And if you're not doing that already in your home and you're using a nonstick pan, like why do you even sell Cutco? Like it's just what's wrong with you? But so the other thing with the confidence is also like the cookware isn't like the pitches aren't really that much different than the knife pitch that we're already used to doing. And then this is another part of that confidence thing. Like I know for a fact for everybody on this call, if a customer walked up to your booth and they were like, "Hey, I have Wusthof knives," you would handle that objection and you would find a way to sell them more Cutco. So like, why wouldn't you treat the cookware any different? If they walk up and say, I have, all clad or this or that or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like the response really shouldn't be any different. Oh, that's awesome. People who have those pans really love to complement what they're using with some Cutco pieces that they don't already have in their kitchen. Like, can I show you what it looks like with the collection that we have? Like a lot of these high-end brands, they have bad fry pans. They don't have all the different sizes of skillets. They don't have all of the woks, the 10 quarts. Like there's a lot of things we make that they might not have already in their kitchen. So why wouldn't we treat that exact same line the exact same way we would if they said they owned Hinkles or Wusthof or Shun or something else? Like it should be no different. Like, and again, that's part of that confidence I'm saying. It doesn't matter what they walk up and say. What we have is better, and my job is to sell it to you. So like I'm going to overcome that just like I would the knives. I always ask questions about what they have, how they like them, and then it's right into why ours are better. So the first thing you got to really realize is if you're just change a few words in your knife pitch, you're basically doing a cookware pitch. Like I'm not saying it's word for word, but it's for me, it's almost the exact same thing. If there's any interest at all, I will 1000% just go into my pitch. It's very simple. It's not complicated. And I'll kind of do that here in just a second. But one of the other things that I'm really intentional about, especially at the Wisconsin State Fair, and especially if you're working inside in the buildings where we're not allowed to have it on display, I really love using videos for the pans. Now, I'm not saying you need a book or a photo album with like 130 different things, but 3 or 4 videos can do so much for you whenever you're doing your pitch. Like for me, like as soon as there's interest, I'm like, hey, is it cool if I show you why people love our pans so much? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. And I'm immediately going to pull up like a chicken video that Brian Carter made. It's one of the simplest and quickest things, but it's literally a start to finish. He throws water in a pan. He sears the chicken. He flips it. He sears it. He throws it in the oven. He pulls it out. He cuts it open, throws it on a plate, and then he cleans the pan. And the video is like a minute and 26 seconds long. A minute and 26 seconds. But literally to me, that's just the exact same thing I'm doing with a customer when I'm cutting leather with a table knife or a steak knife. Like that's that exact same point where they're getting invested and they're seeing in real time, like, hey, this is something simple and this is something that I can do myself at home. Like, and that's really what I'm trying to convey. Like the biggest thing I want to let them know, like, and the biggest thing that they need to understand whenever it comes to our cookware, and this is really all that matters. If these points get across, like they're more open to buying it. It's easy to use, it's easy to clean, and it's a much healthier option. That's really what they care about. Everything else is cool. The guarantee is awesome. They love the fact that it's American made, but like that's like when they're thinking about using it every day, like that's what their focus really is they're like, can I do this myself? Is it gonna be that hard? And like it doesn't matter, like at anytime they're like, oh, I've used stainless before and everything sticks. Like that's one of the most common things I hear. And I'm like, hey, I totally get it, Mrs. Jones. Just so you know, all stainless isn't created equally. And there's a reason ours is better. And there's a reason ours works like nonstick. Can I show you why so many people love it? And again, I'm just piquing curiosity and I'm getting them open to letting me do my thing. And as soon as they say yes, I'm just like, okay, cool. Let me show you this video. Like, okay. And then while I'm playing the video, I do like to talk and I like to watch the customer so I can see how they're responding to what I'm saying. But I'm like, hey, so the cool thing about it is all you have to do with our pans to make them work like nonstick is you have to preheat it. Now, do you see how the water's dancing right there? All right, cool. That just means the pan's hot and it's ready. Now, the great thing is we're throwing that raw chicken in there. There's no oil. There's no butter. There's nothing in there. All you're going to do is you're going to let it sit for 3 minutes. You could literally set a timer. At 3 minutes, you're going to flip it over. And it literally shows them flipping the chicken breast over. It's like perfect. 3 minutes on that side again. And what you're doing is you're giving each side a good sear. Now, one of the things that people really love about our fry pans especially is that they're all oven safe. So it literally shows them sticking in the oven. The great thing is they resist temperatures up to like 500 degrees, so you can kind of do anything or everything in there. You can do the same thing with steak or fish or other things. But basically, you're going to bake it for like 12 to 14 minutes, depending on how big those chicken breasts are. You pull it out. Look how perfectly cooked they are. Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. Now you kind of see like how he cuts through it. Everything's cooked evenly. And then the best part, honestly, is the cleanup. The cleanup is crazy simple and it's crazy easy. All you have to do is throw that fry pan right back on the stove top, pour a little bit of water in it, and then let it warm up for a minute or two. And then you can literally just scrape it off with a spatula. Now, the cool thing is, you notice here we're using metal tools. And I really like that because it's a lot easier to use, it's a lot easier to flip eggs, and it's not going to hurt the pan at all. Even if you see any scratches, there's surface layer, but there's no chemicals or coatings on the pan. So there's no bad stuff that you're actually cutting into. It's just metal on metal. And then you see we hit it with the sponge and water, and it's literally like everything is the same. If you don't want to clean it that way, the really cool part about this is you can literally just throw them in the dishwasher. Like just like all of our knives and everything else, they're 100% dishwasher safe. So whatever you already do to clean your current pans, Mrs. Jones, you can do the same thing with ours, and it's fine. Now, if you were to get some new pans, like you know your kitchen better than I do, would you be looking at a few pieces, or would you be looking at a full set? Just so that way I kind of know the best options for you. 90% of the time they're going to say a set. Who cares if the other 10% is pieces? It doesn't matter. I'm like, cool. It doesn't matter, honestly, how they respond. I'm going to go straight into showing them the legacy, like the full legacy set of cookware. Like, hey, this is the great thing about it, Mrs. Jones. Like, we have options for people who cook a few times a week. We have options for people who like they host and entertain a few times. They cook more than the average person. Or I'm sorry, we have options for people who cook a few times a week. We have options for people who cook more than the average person, so they need a few extra things. And we have options for people who host, they entertain, they barbecue, they grill, they have people over, and they need everything. Like, which category do you think you yourself would fall into? And like, oh, we're the people that have people over. We host, we do all of it. Okay, it doesn't matter. Cool. Legacy set. Like, this is the great thing about it. This is our full set. Now, this is if you just want to rip the Band-Aid off, and this is kind of that one and done thing. It's nice because anything you're ever really going to need comes in the set. It has all of your fry pans, it has all your saucepans, it has your skillets with your covers, it has your big pans and your small pans. So, and the nice thing is all of our sets actually come with our kitchen tool set as well. So and I'll literally pull the kitchen tools over and I'll show it to them. This is going to come included as well. Now, the great thing is, just like anything else that Cutco makes, it's expensive. So, and I'm already showing them the price at this point. So the cool thing is we have some really cool corporate discounts here for the fair that a lot of people have been taking advantage of. And I think that's probably why the cookware has been so popular for us lately. Because you can go to a lot of other places and spend a lot more money and have something that's not going to be as good or not have nearly the guarantee that we're going to have. So it normally retails for blank. And then basically I'm going into closing at this point. If this is too much, they're on the fence. Again, one of the biggest things I think we forget to do whenever we're selling things to customers is we don't pay attention to how the customer's reacting to what we're showing them. So what I'm doing in this moment is I'm paying attention, I'm trying to make eye contact, and I'm trying to watch what they're doing. If they're pulling away, if they're gasping, if they're kind of give you that shocked look, like, okay, I know the set I'm on is either too much money or it's too many pieces, so I need to kind of figure that out, and I can drop down from there. If they're telling me, oh, they wanted something small in the first place, I'm probably going to show them, I'm still going to show them the legacy set just to get a price positioning, and then I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to let them know this is what the other sets cost. I think one of the big reasons I've been able to maximize cookware so much, though, is because I'm not afraid to do individual pieces. So like I use the Fast Action special sheets because they have like 26 different cookware sets behind the 3 main ones. So they show like a fry pan, or the fry pan sets, they show a fry pan, a skillet and cover. It comes with like a 2-quart saucepan and a kitchen tool set. It's like $1,800. Like those things are really easy layouts for a lot of people that just want to get started with cookware. They have just the saucepan sets. They have the big pan sets. So they have a ton of different options. And I let customers know, like, hey, even though you're starting off with one of our smaller sets, just like the knife set upgrade program we actually have the same program for the pans. So a lot of people really enjoy the fact that they can actually start here and we can just upgrade them to the full set next year. So like if this is more than we feel comfortable with right now, that's totally fine. Let's figure out what we're going to get the most use out of right now. And then we can always just get those missing pieces later. So it's quick, it's simple, and it's direct, but it's not overcomplicating. The other videos I will show throughout that, kind of based on the way customers are reacting, is I will show an egg video. Eggs are like, again, the end all be all. for customers. That's like the big defining moment if they're going to keep their pans. So I'll show them like, hey, this is it's a quick little 3-slide thing. It's like, okay, here's the water being too hot. It just steams away. The next video shows, hey, here's the water dancing on the pan perfectly. The next video shows me putting butter in the pan. And then the next video is literally an omelet being flipped over. It's that they're like, oh, so it really does work. And then they're like, well, why'd you put butter down if you said it works like nonstick? And I'll let them know, like, hey, Mrs. Jones, just so you know, if a pan can make an egg slide around with no butter, I don't really want that pan in my house. Like, I don't trust that. And they'll kind of laugh and chuckle, and we just ignore that going forward. I'm like, but the nice thing is this is going to work the way you want it to. Your food's going to taste better. It's going to be healthier. I don't really do much of the vapor seal stuff anymore. I'll bring up I'll show them a video of corn on the cob. I think it's Mike Dowd's video. It's a great little one where he shows like, hey, this is the vapor seal. It locks in all the moisture, but I don't over explain it. And then I'll show maybe a burger being flipped or a steak or something. Like those are the extra videos that I'll pepper in just to kind of keep interest or kind of add a few extra things into it. Now, the big thing too is like everything after the close. So a lot of people, I don't know, this could be a preference if you want, but basically I won't really tell them any of the bad stuff until they give me a credit card and we place the order. Like, and I say bad stuff, but like as soon as like we've read everything up and we're kind of finalizing them, hey, real quick, just before you go, this is the important things you need to remember. So that way you have the best experience with our pans. Okay, the first thing you cook with our pans needs to be something you really don't care about. So something cheap and easy. I recommend eggs or chicken. And they're like, oh, okay, why? I'm like, so that way whenever you burn it or you mess it up or you do something wrong, you're not that mad about it. Now, the thing that's most important is when that problem does happen or you do have an issue, you call me. And the reason I want you to call me is so that way I can tell you what you did wrong. And then I laugh, and then they chuckle with me, and they're like, oh, I'm like, hey, I know we're laughing, but I'm serious. So one of the things I need you to do real quick is I need you to save my contact info in your phone. So that way, anytime this issue happens, you can reach out to me directly and I can help you. Now, just so you know, I had the same issues when I was first getting used to working with our pans. So don't feel bad if it does happen. Just, again, reach out to me. That's my whole job, is to help you out. Now, the other thing is, this is a tip that I learned from one of my customers, and this is what she does, especially because her husband's real impatient and he had trouble with the pans in the beginning. What she does is she keeps a shot glass of water right next to her stovetop. That way they can do the water test anytime and it doesn't cause any extra issues for them. So it's quick and easy. They can dip the finger in, they can throw it on the pan, and they can make sure it's hot. Now, if you're impatient like I am at all, the only thing I changed in my cooking process is I put the pan on the burner before I do anything else when I'm cooking. So the reason I like to do that is because I don't want to wait for it to preheat. So I'm literally going to go get everything else out and ready and start prepping while it's doing that. So by the time I'm ready to cook, it's ready to go. So literally nothing changes in the kitchen. There's no timing difference and everything just works out. But other than that, you're going to love our stuff. You're going to want more of them. And that's okay. When you do, remember, just call me and I'll take care of it. But like that extra few things on the back end of the pitch after you've closed, like has turned, I've gotten one return in the past like year and a half selling pans, like in cookwares. Like, so like, again, you can do everything, you can do everything right. And there's still going to be that one off that's just crazy and can't figure it out. And that's okay. But like doing those few extra things on the back end of it has drastically shifted the way returns have gone. The responses I've been getting from people, and I'm making sure, again, my contact info is saved in their phone. Like that's one of the big things that's helped, because again, their first call isn't going to look on the internet on who to call. I'm already in the phone. So if they have any issues, their first reaction is to reach out to me directly so I can handle it right there on the spot. If you don't know how to handle it, or if they live far away, like if it's somebody who lives close, I will just drive to their house and cook with them if they're within like a reasonable area. If it's somebody who lives far away, I'm like, hey, we're going to jump on FaceTime and I'm going to cook with you. And then I'm going to see where like the disconnect's happening so I can help you figure it out. So like, you don't, like, I know some of y'all's territory is different than our territory. So a little bit more spread out. You don't want to drive 5 hours just to save, well, maybe you do. If you do, that's fine. I don't want to do that. So I'll just FaceTime. But I know I have a lot more time, but I'll save it more for Q&A. But like that's literally from start to finish, like how I'm handling these interactions and how I feel about these pans. Like everybody should have them. Everybody should buy them. And a couple of videos go a long way to closing.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Calvin. We will jump into Q&A. A couple things that I wrote down. All that stuff that you say after the credit card, I think is super important, and I think that's a good way to save cancellations. I've never heard of the shot of a glass of water, or like a shot glass full of water next to the stove. You know, whether it's a shot glass, whatever it is. If you're in Utah, I might want to say glass of water, but yeah, it's that's a great tip and makes it simple for customers. If they're gasping, that means drop down is too much money. Keep it simple, not complicated. So, Jared, we'll go to you first.
Can you just go over that verbiage where you're like explaining the sets?
Yeah. So again, I break it down just like I would break down an ultimate, a family set, or a homemaker. So like, hey, we have sets that are perfect for people who cook just a few times a week. We have sets for people who cook more than the average person, so they need a few extra things. And then we have the set for the people who host, they entertain, they grill, they barbecue, they do all the extra stuff. So they want to have that one and done, just kind of rip the band-aid off and be done set. So like based on what you're doing at home, like which category do you think you fall in?
Cool.
What other questions we got? Anyone?
I have a question. How often are you like getting phone calls to help people with their cookware?
Actually not very often, but if you don't have, like, I do the Vast Action Drip, so anytime a cookware order gets placed, they get on that, like, it's like an 8-week or a 6-week thing where they get different videos once a week of different things to cook. And I do let them know, like, hey, make sure you watch the videos we're going to send. But if you have issues, again, reach out. But I'd say every once in a while I get a phone call, or they're like, hey, I burned something bad, or hey, I can't get my lid off. Those are literally kind of the only 2 questions I've really ever gotten. But most people are like, I think explaining it simply. Oh, and then always making sure they know you preheat the pan before you put the butter in. Like that's the thing. That's like the most common mistake. People put the butter in and then they try to preheat it and then they wonder why it burnt.
And I guess just so everybody's prepared to answer those questions, what do you do when the lid is stuck on? And what do you do when they burn something really bad?
So when the lid is stuck, you need to put the pan back on the burner so it can get hot again. When the pan cools down, because of the vapor seal, it sticks to it and it will not let it go. And I just think back to Kelly Kinzer had an issue with a customer and she didn't know how to handle it. And she told them they just need to get it really cold. And they took it outside, they put it in the snow, and like the lid never came off. So like, they need to make the pan hot again. So that's the biggest, best thing. Don't use the paring knife. It just creates more issues. And then if they burn something really bad, I let them know it's okay. Again, a little bit of Barkeeper's Friend and some water, or they can just put water in the pan, put it back on the stove top, and let it warm up for 1 to 3 minutes, and they can scrape it right off with a spatula. And like, again, that's probably why I love that chicken video so much, because it looks like a burnt pan whenever it's done, and then they see it come off instantly. They're like, wow, is it really that easy to clean? I'm like, it's crazy how simple it is. So even if you do something completely wrong and you think you've ruined it, either A, you'll be able to fix it in 3 to 5 minutes very easily, or B, we'll just give you a new one.
Another quick question. What can customers use steel wool? I know like when they get the cookware, like literally in the manual, it says like, don't use steel wool. I'm pretty sure. But like I use it, doesn't
I'd use it.
when stuff, but I guess I'm just curious, like when that's like the easiest thing for me to clean stuff off of there. But I guess, do you recommend anything else, or do you tell your customers just use that?
So they can use steel wool, but like the little circular metal things, like Josh always keeps one in his pan, like whenever we're working. I forget what they're called, but like I'll literally just be like, hey, you can use one of these, or just a sponge and water. So like I haven't really seen anything that's so bad that it won't come off if you just throw some water in it and put it back on the stovetop. Like it's crazy how well that works. And then a little barkeeper's friend in the pan looks like new. Yeah, Scrub Daddies actually work amazing too. I use Scrub Daddies at the house a lot. That's kind of my main go-to. But I don't think there's any issues with steel wool. Like, but I've had crazy burns because I had something on the stovetop and I let my dogs out. I came back and there was smoke and I was like, dang, I messed up. But like I literally just put some water in there and let it soak for a little bit on the stovetop with like where it was warming up. I'm not trying to boil the water. I'm just letting it get hot and then just that's why my favorite thing, like that's like my favorite bonus item to throw in is the turn and serve, because that is my favorite thing to clean the pan with. Like it's crazy how good that turn and serve makes that pan look like new.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Kev. But yeah, there are a lot of joke answers in there, but remember, it is heating up the pan. That's what gets the lid off.
That's
Not
literally heat up
anything
the pan.
else. I think I do it once a year around the holidays for my mom, like literally every single year. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's stuck. What do I do? And I'm just like, put it on the heat. But isn't it going to burn? No. Put it on the heat. And then it's like 10 seconds later, it pops off. So it's like, it's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, an easy thing if customers do that a lot too, tell them, hey, just keep a kitchen tool and then put the lid on it. Like it stays basically almost closed if you just not on the handle, but on the metal part. It'll keep it open so you don't have that issue going forward, Mrs. Jones.
And then when they're cooking rice, you got to leave the lid like cocked a little bit. You can't leave the lid on because it will suction on, right?
Yes, it will.
Will.
What's up, Calvin?
What up, Will?
Hey, great talk, man. Question. So you kind of touched on this with the vapor seal. Based on the old adage that confused minds don't buy, what is one thing that you used to do that you found would confuse people that you've since stopped doing? Or one thing that you notice a lot of reps will do that they should probably change?
So I stopped putting water in the pan to show it to them. Like it's unnecessary because they're just like, okay, the water makes suction. Like, I don't know. It's always like I think we thought it was impressive, but I don't think it's really that impressive. And I've stopped like, well, again, overcomplicating the process of like, hey, like I keep it simple with like, it works like nonstick. There's no chemicals, no coatings. I don't need to go into any more depth than that. I don't need to add a bunch of things to like on why this is bad or why this is bad or why this is bad. And I stopped again, or like one of the things I said in the beginning, I stopped caring that they thought they already had good pans. Like if somebody has good pans, that means they can afford to buy more good pans. And if they're like, oh, I just really don't want mine to go to waste. Like I'm like, hey, one of the coolest things that I think my customers love to do is especially if they have good pans, but they kind of like the idea of getting some new ones, is they'll actually give their old set to one of the kids. So that way they have a reason to get a new set in the kitchen. And like we'd say the same thing if they had a homemaker set and we were trying to upgrade them and they just buy a new set. Like again, there's like a lot of the things that I'll do to sell them Cutco kitchen knives is a lot of the exact same things I'm now doing to sell them pans. So like one of the biggest things is like that comparison clicked of like, why would I treat this any different? Like there's no reason they shouldn't do the same thing with this.
That's money. Thank you.
Yep.
Hayden, we'll go to you next.
Is the only price comparison that you do against the legacy cookware set, or do you sometimes do it against the Cutco kitchen, or do you ever use other brands of cookware? What does that process look like for you, and does it depend?
It definitely does depend. Sometimes I might use the Cutco kitchen if like they're that like, oh, they should just buy a legacy set. But I really don't compare to other brands. Like I don't do any, like I don't compare with other knives. I don't compare with other pans. I don't compare with other flatware. I just compare the retail to the deal they're getting. That's my biggest comparison. Like, hey, this is the big win. And my main reason for doing that is like, I feel like it confuses them or makes them want to go check out the other brand. So like, I just don't want to add that layer in there at all. Like the only thing they should be hearing about from me is Cutco because that's what I know about. That's what I'm getting paid to sell. That's what I consider myself a professional in. If you use a price comparison, I'm not saying you shouldn't. It's just for me, that's what I like. Like if you have something that's working for you in your business, you should never change something drastically before a giant event. You should keep doing that. After the event, then you can toy with it. But like for me, I don't personally like to compare to other brands.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Calvin said don't use price comparisons, so don't use them.
That's
No,
all.
that is true. If you are, if you are currently using one for knives, cookware, whatever, continue to keep doing what you're doing. Don't change it 2 weeks or 3 weeks before your first state fair. Any other questions?
I do have one more quick question.
Go for it, Caden.
So like I had a customer I sold some cookware to. There's just nothing less left to like bonus without charging my rep account a ton. And it was like one of those things, are you fine with just bonusing like a whole piece of cookware? I feel like it just murders your CPO. Or what are some tactics or tools you use in those situations when there's like nothing really to bonus, if that like on the order, other than just cookware?
If like all they're thinking about is pans and like there's no like, and this depends too if it's like a past customer or a new customer. If it's like a past customer, I'll be like, hey, look, I want to give you a deal, and I'm gonna do right by you. There's not a lot of room I have to work with on this specifically, so I need you to add something else to this order so I can just give it to you for free. And they're like, well, I don't need anything else. I'm like, okay, who can we give a gift for then? Let's get Christmas knocked out. Let's start early. Like, so I will just be real. And if it's a new customer, like I want these 3 pans, but I want a deal. I'm like, cool. The best deal I can do, honestly, if I can't bonus something, is I can save you 10%. And I'll just take the small CTR on the rep account. Like, well, maybe small, but that's like the extent of what I would do if I'm doing a CTR. I just want to know, like, hey, I'm going to cover that difference because I want to earn your business. I just hopefully you remember that I did right by you. So when you're ready to get the rest of it, like I'm the guy you call.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions out there? Cookware? Anything? Awesome. Well, we'll move along, running ahead, which is great. So we'll probably still do the drawing and get off in time. So thank you, Calvin. Appreciate it. Oh, wait, one more question. How much have you spent on your Star Wars collection?
There's an unknown number there. This is just what you can see.
Yeah. Unknown.
Unknown.
Unknown. That's great.
Can I ask a quick one? Sorry.
Who's that?
Tuck.
Go for it.
Because I know there's like a bunch of those extra cookware options. Are there any of those that you actually frequently go to in the drop down process?
Yeah. So like the ones that I probably like the most simple ones, the 3 fry pan set, I think is a super easy layup. I love it because it's like $1,000 or it's like 1040 or 1070 or something. It's cheap. It keeps them in a good price point on a 5-pay. But it's also something people don't mind having extras of. So like it's not a bad thing when they buy a set to just get a whole new set because it's a better deal. So like the fry pan set is a layup. People love to have fry pans. You can never have enough fry pans. It's a simple one. And then the other one that I use probably the most, again, it's a 10-inch fry pan, the 2-quart saucepan, the skillet and cover, and the kitchen tool set. And it's like $1,700. But I'm like, hey, if you want something that's a little more well-rounded that can cover a lot of bases, like this is the perfect starter kit. And at this point, they've already seen everything being like $4,000 to $7,000. So 1,700 is like, oh, that's way better. Let's just do that. And then again, I reiterate, like, hey, the upgrade program is going to make it simple. And if they need to adjust one of the pans, like if they were like, I'd rather have the bigger fry pan, I'm like, hey, yeah, we'll just swap that out. It'll be like $20 difference on the price. And they're like, oh, okay, let's do that. Like, so that one's also nice because you can adjust it to the specific pans that they might be more excited about. But for the most part, those are those are my 2 main like drop down pieces or sets, I say.
Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, hey, appreciate it, Calvin. I'm excited to sell more pans. I know I've been selling a lot more this year, but more ammo for the fair. I appreciate it, man. Awesome. So we do have our keyword at the end of the call. So just so you guys know what to expect here, we're going to have Kevin close us out. I'm going to give you the keyword, so don't get off until you get that keyword. And then we are going to do the drawing for all of you that filled out the State Fair Retreat survey feedback form. We're going to do a drawing for Costco USA K-Bar. So that's exciting. So make sure you stay on for all that. You have to jet I think we'll be done before 2, but make sure you stay on before that last keyword is announced. So Kevin, I do have a speaker bio for you, but I'm not going to introduce you because you're great. But Kevin likes to golf. He's a beast. And he is definitely if you guys haven't noticed, this is the one thing I will say about Kevin. We strategically painted Kevin all over the retreat, and he's also now closing us out on this call. So just know, like, Kevin, obviously he's one of the top sales reps on our team, but he is definitely somebody to pay attention to. He's really good at this job. He's really good at selling Cutco. So he's definitely somebody that you want to learn from. So, one thing that I did get from that feedback form is the upserving or upselling talk that Kevin gave was the highest rated talk that we had during the retreat. So just know, like, those recordings are out there. Make sure that you are watching them and learn as much as you can from this guy, because he is really good at what he does. And he's going to continue to be one of the best reps, especially on our team. So, but Kevin, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thank you for that. So I want to do a little visualization exercise with you guys. So I want you to close your eyes. Even if you're driving, close your eyes. No, don't do that. But close your eyes. Imagine it's 9 p.m. at your state fair. You just had the biggest day of your career. How does that feel? Feel that feeling. How proud of you are you of yourself? How grateful are you? Continue to close your eyes. It's 9 p.m. on the last day of your state fair. And you just had the biggest fair you've ever had. How does that feel? Feel that amazing feeling. All the people you helped, all the challenges you overcame to get to this point. So, there's a reason why, a lot of successful people, visualize things happening, is because, a lot of the things that happen, we saw it in our mind first. So keep that in mind as you're coming through your fair season, is that, if you can see it happening, you can make it happen. And this doesn't happen on its own or by luck. It happens by design. So how does this happen? Your best days, your biggest orders, your biggest fair. Number one, belief. You're not who you were last year. You're better than you were last year. You're more polished. You have more customers. Your marketing is more dialed in. Consistently believe good things are going to happen as long as you stay positive and put the work in. And that's easy to believe when everything is going right. There's going to be days where it's 3 p.m. and you're almost at nothing for the day. What will your belief be then? How will you react? I relate it to, there's probably been many games where Kobe Bryant was shooting 10% going into the fourth quarter and he hit the game-winning shot. The fourth quarter is where champions are made. So that those last 3 hours of the day, those last 2 days of the fair, when you don't feel like it being positive, when you don't feel like, when you feel like you're behind, that's where you need to to increase your belief. Believe that your best days always come after your worst. Believe that your big order for the day is coming, so you have to stay ready. You know, really the only limits we have is the ones that we put on ourselves. And the second thing on how to make this happen is just to lift each other up and stick together. You know, to make it through a long fair season or just a long fair and perform at a high level, we need to help each other out and be there for each other. You know, there's going to be highs and lows. It's a roller coaster. You know, there's going to be days where you're at your lowest and somebody else is at their highest. So especially, you know, people who are at their highest and leaders in this business or on the team, sales leaders, you need to be there for people when they need it the most. So when someone is down and out, give them encouragement. You know, if your booth mate is angry or frustrated, you know, tell them to take a walk, take some deep breaths, come back refreshed. You know, let them know, you know, there's been times where, you know, I've been in the booth with somebody, and it's like, I know I need to say something. I don't know what I need to say, but like this person is down and out. So you have to say something, you know, whether it's not going to be perfect, you know, your big order is coming. Hey, you're due, stay positive, you know, shake that off. The next one, who cares? Who's next? You know, sometimes we need other people to believe in us until we can believe in ourselves. I know the last thing is just, you know, design your own luck. You know, there's going to be people that, you know, are having massive success at fairs, and it's not happening by happenstance. It's happening by them having a powerful morning routine. You know, they're going to be the people that are listening to audios on the way to the fair. You know, they're going to be the people that are sharing powerful goals with their customers. You know, the universe has a way of rewarding people who are bold and courageous. So, you know, pulling people in when you don't, you know, when you're feeling down, you know, you're feeling like you can't sell anything, you know, still not wanting to maybe talk to somebody and be like, I'm going to do it anyway. So just, you know, I believe in you guys. You know, I'm excited for you to have your biggest day, your biggest order, and your biggest week this state fair season. That's all I got.
Appreciate it, Kev. Excited to crush it with y'all. Your keyword to close us out is big, B-I-G. Big. That is the second word. So text me that keyword, and then we're going to do a drawing. It's got to do something fun, right? Obviously, this call's been great. Appreciate to all the speakers that have spoken today. You know, Katie, Jake, Calvin, and Kevin closing us out. Y'all are great. Let me share my screen. So we have everybody that filled out the feedback form. You are in this. You don't have to go to your Costco and hope for one. Actually, I think they're done selling them now. Okay, so everybody that filled out the form, this is for a USA K-Bar. You guys ready? Will, you are the winner of USA K-Bar.
Yeah.
Woo woo. So yeah, I'll ship that out to you. I'll reach out to you to get your address. But hey, appreciate you guys being on. If you guys need anything, reach out. Also, just quick shout out to Lucky Odiasi. So Lucky is the guy that puts together all of our team meetings and gets all of our speakers and everything. So just want to appreciate you, Lucky. I know a lot of people give me the credit, Lucky, but you definitely are the one that deserve all of it. So I really appreciate everything that you do for our team and putting all these speakers together. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah. Don't thank me. Thank Lucky. But yeah, if you guys need anything, reach out. Super excited for State Fair. If you have any questions about your fair or anything around State Fair, definitely reach out. And I'm super excited to see you guys soon. For those of you working in Wisconsin, it's going to be an epic season. So crush it during your events, the next few weeks, and let's get ready to crush it at our state fairs. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Lucky. Appreciate y'all. Thanks, Noah, everyone on the team, Quentin. Anyone?
Thank you.
Missed you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tuck.
Is there any way that cookware video